One of the best pieces of advice that Mr. Rohn ever gave me was this. He said, learn to separate the majors from the minors. Don't major in minor things. He said, one of the reasons why people don't do well in life is that they major in minor things. G'day and welcome. My name is Willem, and on this channel I share the philosophies and the wisdom that Mr. Jim Rohn shared with me over 30 years ago. By consistently applying and consistently executing on the philosophies he shared with me, I've been able to live a life on my terms, and I wish the same for you. And for those of you who have recently joined the channel, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. I've noticed quite a few of you joining quite recently, so it's great to have you here joining us each week. So how do we not major in minor things? For those of you who watch the channel frequently, you may notice that my backdrop has changed a little bit. It's because winter is approaching in Melbourne, and I'm up here on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland for 3 weeks. So the next few videos might look a little bit different. Okay, majoring in minor things. It's one of the main causes why people don't get ahead. But what do you do about it? And what are the major things that we should be focusing on? That is essentially the subject of this video. I subscribe to James Clear's email. It arrives every Friday. Now, for those of you who don't know, James Clear wrote the great book, Atomic Habits. If you have never read it, I strongly encourage you to do so. Anyway, James's email arrived a couple of weeks ago, and he recommended to live the Pareto Principle lifestyle. Now, what is the Pareto Principle lifestyle? For those of you who've never heard of the Pareto Principle, it stems from a gentleman called Wilfredo Pareto, who was a mathematician in the Middle Ages in Italy. And he discovered that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. It's sometimes called the 20-80 rule. And he discovered that even though it applied for land and real estate, it applied across a whole range of different things. And I have certainly found that in my life, 20% of things usually make 80% of the difference. In my business, for instance, which is contract cleaning, we know that 20% of what we do on a particular site makes 80% of the difference. And so it is with a lot of things in our life. The majors are the 20% of things that make 80% of the difference. So what are the 20% that make 80% of the difference? What are the majors that make a difference rather than the minors? I have 4, and I'd like to share them on this video. And the first major is this, and it's relationships. Mr. Rohn famously said, all of us need each of us, and each of us need all of us. It is hard to find a rich hermit. The reality is that we just cannot progress in life without others around us. And the problem often is that we take our relationships for granted, and we shouldn't. Make sure you spend time, major time, on your relationships. Who are the people that are close to you? Should you be saying you love them more often? Should you be saying thank you for your efforts more often? So that's the first one, your relationships. Just do a quick audit and make sure you're spending major time on your relationships. The second one is priorities. What are the major things in your life that make the most impact on your life? Make sure you spend most of your time on those priorities. For me, for instance, it's my health and exercise and diet, and obviously also my financial well-being. And I make sure I spend major time on each of those every day. So that's the second one. Spend major time on the priorities that are going to create the most impact on your life. Now, the third one is learning. I meet a lot of people all the time that believe that your learning, your education finishes once you've finished your formal education. And I think there is just nothing further from the truth. As I'm filming this video, AI is becoming huge. ChatGPT is becoming huge. It's going to change the world landscape. You need to know what's going on. What's the latest technology? How will that affect you? As I'm putting this to air, inflation is now running at 7% here in Australia. That is going to dramatically change the way people live and their lifestyles for the next 5 to possibly 10 years. You need to know what to do, how to handle those circumstances. You should never cease your learning. I remember Mr. Rohn saying, make sure you read all the books. Now, he said you can't read all the books, but make sure you read the books that are going to make the biggest difference in your life. Read the books that will make that 80% difference in your life economically, for your health, for your relationship. So that's the third one, is learning. Now, before I go to the fourth major, could I ask you to like this video and consider subscribing? I put something out every week on something Mr. Rohn shared with me that I still apply in my life today. Now, the fourth major is stress. Eliminate the few resources, the few sources of stress in your life that cause you to stay awake at night, that give you restless days, that don't allow you to be your most productive. I have a rule in my own company. If someone's name keeps coming up, it's probably time to move them on. Only last week, I had to discuss career enhancement with one of my team members and allow him to move on somewhere else. If you find you are discussing someone repeatedly because they're causing a lot of stress in your life, you need to do something about it. It's a major, because that sort of source, that source of stress, that can cause untold damage in your life and into your future. Now, in every video, I like to leave a bonus, and the bonus in this video is in a link below. It's a video I did on how to start your day strongly. It's called Don't Start the Day Till You Have It Finished on Paper. It's one of the best pieces of advice Mr. Rohn ever gave me. And the reason I'm leaving you that as a bonus is because once you've decided on the majors in your life, the Pareto Principles, the things that will impact your life the most, then you need to put time in your calendar. You need to allocate time in your week, in your day, to make sure you don't major in minor things. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the other videos I've done on the philosophies and wisdom that Mr. Rohn has shared with me. They're on a playlist just up there. Now, I would ask you to go out and live a Pareto Principle lifestyle. If you do, I know you'll thank me in the future.